Hey, thanks so much for joining me again. Thank you for tuning in to Bricky's Bible and this little time that we have together in which we think about like the most important and exciting things in all the world. And we're still like going through the story that Mark wrote about some of the things that Jesus did. And we've come to this guy, John the Baptist. So this guy called John the Baptist. Now, Baptist wasn't his surname. You know, you couldn't find him in the telephone directory under like the Baptist. That wasn't his surname. No, his name was John, and he baptized people. Um, Now, he was prophesied. Now, that's like that in itself is an amazing thing that centuries before. So one prophet, the guy that we looked at last time called Isaiah, who wrote 700 years before, like spoke about John the Baptist, coming 700 years later. He was, to that point, the most brilliant, like clever, gifted man that had ever lived. He was like extraordinary. And he was so like remarkable that people like thought that he was the Son of God. You know, they thought this guy must be the Messiah. He's so like better than everybody else in every way. And people like followed him for miles and miles around and wanted to come and be his disciples. And there's so much that we could say about this guy. He's such a fascinating man in so many ways. But he went out into the desert when he was about 30 years of age, and then he lived in the desert. Now, that was a strange thing to do, you know, in all kinds of ways, but he went into the desert, and that was where the people had been before in the past. There's a big backstory to that. Let's not worry about it now, but we may come back to it in the future. So he was kind of retracing the footsteps of where the people had been before. And then what he was saying was anybody who was going to come out to him in the desert would then confess their sins, and then he would wash them, and then they would go back into the land again. Now, sometimes, you know, we think about things that we've done in the past, and many people, it haunts them years later. At nighttime, they stay awake thinking about skeletons in the closet, things that they've not even told their like closest family members, maybe not even told their wife or husband about, and that they could never share with anybody because they think that if they told other people would like judge them and hate them for those things. John the Baptist, right? He asked the people to come out from all the cities and from all around about to come to where he was, and then to stand in the river, the Jordan River, and to say those things out loud. Now, you know, when you think about it, that's a scary thing, isn't it? Like, imagine saying those things. But I suppose you would be in a crowd with lots of other people that would be saying things like that as well. And so huge crowds, you know, you might imagine the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, like crowds, like that sort of crowd of people went out, and lots and lots of people stood in the river. And you can imagine them standing in the river, you know, one person saying, oh, I put my hands up, you know, like 5 years ago, I was very angry and I killed a man. And I never got caught, but you know, I'm a terrible person that I should have done something like that. And then maybe somebody else is like putting up their hand and saying, I raped somebody. I did a terrible thing 15 years ago and I was never caught. Somebody else, you know, I'm always telling lies. Somebody else, I'm always angry. Somebody else, I'm always bitter. Somebody else, I'm always lustful. I always want things that I shouldn't have. And this is all like dragging me down, and it's not right. I'm so messed up. All these people were saying these things, standing in the Jordan River. Now, there was one group of people, right, who didn't go down into the river and who didn't see and who didn't like take part in it, but who went as well. They were the religious people. So lots of religious people went out from Jerusalem, like the capital city, and they stood like up on the sideline looking down on all the people in the river, thinking to themselves, you know, look at those guys down there. We're not like that. We've never done anything wrong. Not like that. Not like those guys. They're losers and failures. They're screw ups. They've messed up their lives, not like us. Um, where would you have been, right, on that day? Where would you have been? Would you have been down in the river with John and the gang down there, like saying, I know that I'm not the person I'm supposed to be. I know that I've messed up. I know that I've made mistakes. And I just want to get it out into the open. I want to put my hands up and say those things because I want like forgiveness. I want a new start. I don't want those things to like be held over me all my life. Is there any way that I might begin again and that those things might just be washed away and forgiven and forgotten? Or on the other hand, would you have been like standing up on the bank, being like, nah, I'm not one of those guys. I've never put a foot wrong. I've never made a mistake. Think about it today. Where would you have been, in the river or up on the riverbank looking down? I think that we all want to be those guys in the river because we're going to see tomorrow who came down into the river to meet them. Thanks so much for watching. God bless you.